Welcome to Living Once Twice, a lifestyle design and personal adventure podcast. My name is Justin. Come with me as I'm here to help you chart your course for creating the fulfilling life you desire. Join me as every Wednesday we'll dive into the inspiring guest stories, remarkable science, and useful strategies to help you create the momentum you need to take action towards designing your dream life. Remember, your dream life is waiting for you. It's time to go for it. You deserve it. Greetings all, and welcome to Living Once Twice. Thank you for tuning into today's episode. I'm very excited to bring on today's guest, Mr. Frankie Marcos. Frankie is a stand-up comic, actor, and also fitness trainer, and so much more that you're going to have the opportunity to learn about today. Frankie, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good, man. Thanks for having me. Definitely blessed and fortunate at the moment. Grateful despite what's happening. But yeah, man, just doing well. How about yourself?
Same. I mean, I think you said it eloquently there, man. Blessed in terms of the situation going on around us. So it is special to have the opportunity to talk about helping people to design their dream life in spite of the circumstances that we're surrounded by. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So so Frankie, me and you, we gotta give the people some context because you and I go way back, man. But we didn't meet your conventional way, your conventional
Yeah.
route. We didn't meet in elementary school, folks. We didn't bump into each other at the gym. So I mean, Frankie, do you want to just go on and tell the folks how we met?
Oh my God. We met at the circus, aka traffic court. That was really interesting day. Because it's such a weird dynamic there. Like when you go to traffic court, like some people are acting like kids, some people are really stern, and everything in between. So me and Justin were sitting next to each other in traffic court, just being pretty civilized, regular dudes, as we're observing other people, like one dude falling asleep and snoring hella loud. And we were just me and Justin, we were just laughing at it, and it was pretty hilarious. And then plus the behavior of other people that were asking 30 questions, and people who were just the opposite of prepared, and it's like you needed one document and they're like, I don't have it. Like, just it was a weird situation that me and you were just kind of laughing at and watching, like, this is ridiculous. And so we just kind of started laughing and clowning about it, and then we just exchanged Instagrams and became friends. And then you came through and showed some real love and support at the shows, and yeah, man. So it's been cool ever since.
Yeah, man. That's that. I always tell people if you get the opportunity to go to traffic court, you will be entertained.
Yeah,
You will be
we get
entertained.
lifelong friends, man.
Exactly, man. So now, folks, I know y'all didn't come to hear about our troubled past, but Frankie, you got a lot of insight really to share for our guests. Like you said, I mean, I've had the opportunity to come to a few of your shows, man, and check you out, and I really know you're doing it. You're stepping into your vision. You're designing your dream life, and you're out here with that entrepreneur mindset. And I think it's going to be great for our discussion today to really talk about what you've been doing and how you've prepared yourself for your journey in that and stepping into that. And so, but before we dive into that, can you just take the audience back and let us know a little bit more about your story? Who are you, where you're from, what you do for a living, and what you're doing today?
Okay, cool. So yeah, Frankie Marcos is what I go by. My real name's Francisco Miguel Marcos, but I don't really prefer that. But I think it's cool. But it's just not my thing. But I grew up in San Jose, California, so it's the Bay Area. Some haters will say that it's not, but it definitely is. But anyway, honestly, to keep it brief, I was really spoiled in a sense of like love and I don't want to, I guess, entitlement, because I was always really lovable, and like I still am, and I recognize that. So like as a kid, a lot of people would show me a lot of love and let me do whatever I wanted per se, and just like my mom spoiled me. We were not rich, not even close. We weren't dirt poor, but like I just got a lot of what I wanted as a kid. Great, it was still a great time, and I made some good friends. And I just played basketball and wanted to be funny. And I knew since I was a kid that I wanted to be a comedian of some sort. So I just was goofy, weird, funny, ball player all the way until about 22. And then around when I was like 19 was like the most ratchet time of my life when I was selling ecstasy and weed, and I was doing ecstasy too, and I had ADD. I'd be losing pills, just the worst drug dealer ever. And then after that time, I found a job at the San Jose at the SAP Center where the San Jose Sharks play, where the hockey team plays. And then I worked there for a few years, and then the head chef, Rodney Baca, shouts out to him, world ranked chef, was like, "Yo, you make everybody laugh at work. Why don't you become a comedian?" And I was like, like I was all scared just thinking
Mhm.
about it, even though I knew that's what I wanted deep down. So we set up an open mic, and I did it, and it ended up just being me by myself, no other comedians, no microphone, just on a little 3 foot by 3 foot stage at a dive bar in San Francisco. And I did it, and I sucked. And it took me 3 months to recover from the shame. And then I came back 3 months later, sucked again, and a third time sucked again, and then the fourth time I did okay, and then I started getting better, and now it's taking me to New York, Chicago, Seattle, a few other places, and sixth place in the San Francisco International Comedy Competition with some of the other finalists being like Dana Carvey, Kevin Hart, Louis C.K., pretty weird shit. Basically, once I was 22 and I started that comedy thing, it gave me something to pour my life into and to decide like if I could do this, this means that not only can I make people laugh and do what I love, I can get paid for it. People will respect me. I can start this journey of self mastery so that I'm the right mindset and physical shape for the big goals, which would be to be on big stages around the world and, possibly act or whatever it is. It just made me be like, okay, you got to work on yourself because you're taking on a big responsibility and you need to take this shit serious. And so around 25 is when I really, really took a deep dive into like the self mastery and like, okay, let's try meditating. Let's work out a lot more. Let's practice being more patient, more, empathetic, more compassionate. Listen to motivational stuff, spiritual stuff, affirmations, anything that can make myself better, knowing damn well that I was a piece of shit as a child. And now I feel like I owe the world for being entitled. Now I want to be more selfless and like give people as much as I can with my talents and gifts that I'm blessed with. So I try to do my best to like be funny without punching down. It's almost impossible, but I try to like balance being a good person and being funny on stage. It's a weird contradictory lifestyle that I live because I don't want to like hurt people's feelings, but comedy always has a victim. But anyway, so I'm just, basketball, goofy, trying to be a good person and be funny essentially is where we're at right now. And the fitness thing is also a big part of me just because I love how much it makes me push and push other people. And it just makes me, it does a million good things, but essentially it's part of the integrity and discipline that I would like other people to have too. And I wish they could feel how it feels when you really build that up and how powerful it can become.
Yeah, man. And I mean, listening to your journey and kind of where you started and where you're at, it's impressive because it wasn't a straight shot. I'm sure it had a lot of plot twists and turns along the way. But something you said earlier, Frankie, about when someone had kind of nudged you and said, "Hey, you would be good at this, or you should pursue it." You said that you were scared at first. What was the fear? What was kind of holding you back from, even though this is something you knew you wanted to do? What was going on in your mind during that time when I think you were saying you were 19, when you were maybe a little bit fearful about leaning into something that deep inside you did want to pursue?
Yeah, I think this is, I mean, for the listeners, I'm sure you guys can relate to this. Is, in high school, everybody thinks life is easy because it's like you just have to worry about homework and you don't have any bills, you don't have any real stresses. Not to dismiss any, things that were happening at home or whatever, but in comparison to life after high school, life was easy. So when 19 hit, it's like, oh, the real world is hard. And so going through that adjustment phase of after high school all the way up to 22, when he asked me, those 3 years, life was hard. From going from high school playing football and basketball, and everybody loves me, and I got most hilarious. Oh, look, life is easy. And then you step out the door, and you're like, oh, somebody just socked me in the face. Okay, this is pretty hard. Hey, everybody loves me, right? No, we don't give a shit about you. And then I was like, oh, okay. So it was that kind of mentality of adjustment where I was like, I didn't really have a direction or anything. I didn't have any confidence that I built up authentically. I didn't really have much to stand on. I didn't own anything. I didn't have any real skills. I didn't go to college. I didn't have any real integrity at the time. So that was like the fear. And, a lot of people don't have confidence, and that's just one. I partially blame just society in general. The pressures of getting to the American dream and whatever the conventional way of living is. And thank God we have people like yourself and myself who think outside the box, and we are independent thinkers, and we realize that we have the greatest opportunities in the history of ever to make whatever you want to happen. Like you could literally start a business on your phone tonight, like while you're sitting on your stomach, like eating marshmallows, whatever the hell you want to do nowadays, it's the opportunity to do it. You can invest, you can learn real estate in a course that costs you like $200, or you can learn piano lessons on YouTube, and just you can pick up skills within a matter of months or weeks even. And we have everything within real time, like seconds away. So like you could spend 2 years at your job that you're doing now and just work your ass off for yourself, not even for the company. And just like after you get off work, go directly into the self mastery of, hey, I want to become a personal trainer, or hey, I want to get a side business. I saw this dude in Alameda that was framing like Monopoly and Sorry and all these games from like the 90s and early 2000s. He glued the pieces of the game to the board, and then he put it in a glass case with a wooden frame around it, and it looked cool as hell. And he was selling these things for like $200, 250, 300, and he would buy them off eBay for like $8, $12.
Wow.
So I
Wow.
mean, look at the profit margin. Like, and he was crushing it, and they looked hella cool. And I was like, if I had money, I would buy one of those because I respect the idea of him doing, like, that's really cool and it looks hella cool. I would love to have that in my home. So like any like entrepreneur, anybody can do it nowadays. And anyway, I have ADD, but yeah.
No,
I
no, you talk
get
about
so
that.
excited talking about it because there's so many opportunities. But go ahead.
No, I'm saying like you're stressing the point that I'm hoping to help people get across is like you can do it, and now is the time. I know there's a lot happening in the world, but like there's a lot that you can do regardless of your circumstances, your background, things of that nature, and even regardless of setbacks. And you talked about some of those setbacks, and this is where I want to kind of reference. I know you're a fan of Dragon Ball Z, so for those of you that are DBZ anime fans, we're going to take it there. So,
Oh yeah.
as you know, Frankie, in the show, there is this race of people called Saiyans,
Right.
and Saiyans have this genetic trait allows them to grow stronger after they recover from a devastating battle. And so you talked about how you had some of these things that you had to overcome or some setbacks that maybe made you stronger. So could you share like what when you look at it and you're like, man, this was a real pivotal setback for me that looking back it made me stronger, but at that time I didn't realize I needed to go through this experience to get on this path. But was there a moment or an experience that you went through that now when you look back on it, you're like, wow, that really served a great purpose and helped me get on the right path.
Yeah. I mean, I think going back to I would say the biggest lessons that you learn are like from the biggest losses and struggles that you come by, because sometimes you can't learn unless it's through direct experience. So like people who like directly, fuck up, quote unquote, it's like it's good because it taught you, you experience that, you realize the consequences, and it really makes you think I don't want to do that again. Like the street shit. Like my brother was always involved with like people who were trapping and just making bad decisions, like good people making really bad decisions. And my brother was one of those too. And so I learned a lot from him. And then me kind of sort of dipping into that lifestyle made me realize how toxic it is. And then I saw the consequences and I saw what happened to his friends and I saw them go to jail too. And so I think having like a nice like balance of knowing like rich people, poor people. Like I've hung out with a lot of different types of people, and I'm grateful that I wasn't raised strictly in the burbs because it's kind of a one perspective thing, and then you don't really have empathy for others, and I don't know. So I guess like learning from my brother's mistakes and like everybody's really in my own. I don't know if I have one exact specific one,
Mhm.
but I'm really grateful, as weird as it sounds, for the things that I saw kind of fall around, like tumble down around me and even in my own life, because it made me kind of better at navigating through things like that.
And so it sounds like you learned a lot from others, observing others, and that was able to contribute to your perspective. And like you said, you picked up some things like empathy. So let's talk about that whole mindset piece. So you talked about building your mindset, self mastery, and working on yourself. Like, what was the process for you of like rewriting your own thoughts? Like, how did you go about doing it? What, and once again, what were some of either the skills or things that you learned from that just help you to start building your mindset and reprogramming yourself in a different way?
I think Les Brown would be the first person to thank in the biggest way, because he's just the greatest at illustrating with his words sort of the things that a lot of them are often common sense, but common sense isn't really common practice, as Jim Quick would say, who's a um, memory expert and also a motivational speaker, among many that I've learned from. A lot of them say the same things in different ways, like Gary Vee, Tony Robbins, like, everybody has different people that inspire them, Eric Thomas.
Hmm.
And, some of them, some people hate it, some people love it. I definitely love it. And even, I don't know, but essentially listening to these motivational speakers and inspirational videos over and over, it's like building a muscle. And it's just sort of comment, like I said, it's reminders of, hey, read more books, be more thankful, reach out to people you love, do handwritten letters, write down the goals that you want to achieve, write down everything you want in life and the strategies that you're going to use to get there. Don't be afraid to ask for help, not because you're weak, but because you want to stay strong. Like all of those little phrases, as I hear them over and over and over, like the Les Brown speeches, I've heard like probably like four different ones that he has that are an hour each. I've probably heard all of those like 10 times each, like at least. But it's what it does is, it's like I said, it's molding that, it's nailing it into your head. Like, for example, Muay Thai fighters, they hit trees and bamboo and they hit their legs with like wood, or you see them kicking poles. The reason they do that is because your bones are like a honeycomb, and as you beat on it more and more, it becomes, from that honeycomb, it becomes more solid and more solid until your leg is like a bat. And so when you kick somebody else with a regular leg, it just like shatters, like breaks their leg immediately. And so you're building yourself and your spirit up in that way by listening to it over and over and over. So when you do have those moments of doubts where you're like, I don't feel like doing this task right now, or I don't want to go to the gym, or whatever it is, you have that voice in your head playing from either a motivational speaker, or maybe your spouse, or maybe your son or your daughter, that kind of pushes you. And we all have to have that strong why, because if we kind of just wander around life, nothing in the world is going to change. You're never going to get to where you want to go. So I just, I try to listen to those things as much as I can, even to this day. And um, I mean, just yeah, that mindset is everything. It's the biggest tool to success and happiness. Just knowing exactly who you are, and self love and self care and self mastery. Because I mean, if we can't change the world unless we change ourselves. Joey Badass said that, and that's hella true.
It is. It really is, and hearing you talk
One more
about.
thing before I just really wanted to sort of before I forget, because
Mhm,
the coolest thing about right now is because there's role models in your life like Les Brown, for example, and then there's like actors, and then there's celebrities, or there's athletes, whoever it is that's a role model in your life. I feel really happy because I get to be a role model to people right now, and I'm not even like famous yet. Like, I don't really have like crazy accomplishment. I got some cool things that I've done, but like there's always, what I'm trying to say is, there's always support on the way up and on your path. There's always going to be support. If you started today, you got support. If you're 10 years in the game, you got support. If you've been doing it 40 years and you're still mediocre, you still have support. And so, like, people are scared to start, but it's like, dude, you're going to get a lot of help on the way. Like, I've met so many, like, I have people in my phone right now that I can call, like my boy James Anderson. He's been in the White House twice during Obama's presidency, of course. He has a big old mural in LA painted of him. Just an incredible dude. Comes from a crazy childhood of gang violence and drugs, and he changed his entire life to be this fascinating person that tells his story around the world. That's just one example, but I have a bunch of really incredible friends with all these crazy accomplishments, and we all share this sort of own path to, like, this is where I want to go, and I've
mhm.
created my own lane here. I'm not following the flow of traffic. I'm going off-roading on this crazy ass journey. And I could just call these friends, and they know, like, I'm not trying to take anything from you. If anything, I'm trying to learn from you, and like, I'm your friend, and like, we value each other's time, and we always provide value back and forth of like, what have you learned lately? What books have you read? Did you get any aha moments that you can share with me? Do you have any book recommendations? Has life taught you anything recently that has made a big impact on it? And I have these powerful conversations like every week with people, and it's like, I randomly cry sometimes because I get to do what I love, and then I have such fascinating people in my life. And the more I keep going on the journey, the more and more crazy, amazing people that I keep meeting, and all these opportunities keep happening. And I could tell stories for hours about law
Mhm.
of attraction things where it just so happened to be the right place at the right time, where I met this famous person, or where I got this opportunity that I would never know, or I beat this other comedian in this competition that I never would have thought I could ever beat. And so, for anybody who's listening that's thinking about doing something, it's like, I guarantee you, if you spend some time on it and you envision it and you run toward it, you're going to get all kinds of blessings on the way to that destination. And like, even if you never got there, like, the process, if you can learn to enjoy it on the way, it's
Mhm.
incredible. Like, if I was never famous, if I never quote unquote made it, I wouldn't give a shit. Like, I'm so happy every day that I get to do this. It's there's always going to be support. But anyways,
Frank, you're out there making it, and I mean, hearing you speak about how important and vital community has been in your journey, and what you've been able to just kinda bounce off of and absorb from others, and it's kinda been a give and receive. But what about for listeners out there who are like, "I don't have that," like, maybe they're trying to transition into a field, a career path, into a dream that they're like, "Wait a minute, I don't have that kind of support system or network." And like what advice would you have for them about like where to go find it, or where how to go about building it if they just don't have it at the current moment.
It's just one of those things. If you build it, they'll come. Like if you go to, I don't know, Montana, in like a town that nobody's ever heard of. And you went in that bitch and you were like, look, I make the best chicken sandwiches. And then you go there and you open a business and you believe in that shit and you make really bomb ass chicken sandwiches, people are going to come to your restaurant. And it's the same thing with your dream or your business, whatever it is, as long as you believe in it and you take the right steps. Like I said, people will be there. People will show up when you least expect it. When you are expecting it, it's going to happen. It's just the law of physics. One thing affects another. And as you do it in your own way, the magnitude of that just amplifies like crazy. And you'll notice the more that you put into it, the more blessings that you receive. And so for anybody to just start it, like it's going to happen. If you don't have anybody now, you will get them. Like I can guarantee you. And it's again, like no matter what level it is, like it's just like Kevin Hart was doing an interview where he was talking about life is like a game, like it has a game like quality to it where you unlock different levels. And like
Mm,
there's people that are on levels right now where I can reach out to them and they'll be like, Frankie's close, but I can't let him on this show yet. And then there's other people where, they can't get on a show with me because they're not on this level yet.
mhm,
But we know that like you can get there. And in time I will get there. Like I know that, in a couple years I'll be working with, you know, the famous comics a lot more, and it'll just be more of a common thing, and there will be way more people that have all these statuses that are going to be in my immediate friend group, and like the money will come and the love will come, like the wifey and the home and all of that will come in due time, and I just trust it because I've worked on
mhm.
myself so much that I know, like, I don't have any more doubt left. It's like I enjoy the process, and I know that things will come when they're supposed to. It's just, a lot of people don't have the patience, but it's a marathon. Nothing's gonna come overnight.
Right, right. I like what you're saying too about the importance of just trusting the process. And like you said, if you build it, put yourself out there, it will come. One of the things I definitely want to make sure we touch on is the the fitness training that you're doing. Like, how did that come about? You did talk a little bit about wanting to pour into yourself also physically. Like, how did that come about? How has that also been a part of your journey as well in designing your dream life?
That one I can give you a specific because like I've been playing basketball since I was 4. It's my favorite thing. And then I played football for a couple of years in high school, but I just loved basketball, not as much weight training until like around 25. Um and around I don't know, like or like 26. Around 26, I started getting more involved in lifting, and then I started getting like kind of obsessed with it just because of the feeling of happiness and being more present and more patient, physically, because your body only has the skeletal, the nervous system and the muscle. So it's like there's three parts to your entire body. So if you work out, you're going to get huge control over that nervous system, which kind of tells, your brain and your heart, it tells your brain and your spine what to do. So if you can work out, it's like a third of your body is in control, in check, so that you don't react crazy on the freeway. And then you go fight some guy, and then he pulls out a gun, and then it's all over because you reacted out of emotion. But when you're in tune with your mind and your body, they're like a yin and yang. And so I realized how powerful it was. And in the specifics, one day I was on stage at an Italian restaurant, Caps, in Brentwood. There's about 150 people there, it was sold out, and I did a 5-minute guest set, and I bombed. And like I was pretty solid at the time as a comic, but
Mhm.
I did not do well with that demographic for whatever reason at that time. And I got off stage and one of the other comedians was like, "Yo, you a star." And I was like, "What the hell did you just say? Like, what are you talking about, man? Like you just saw me bomb." And he's like, "Trust me." He's like, "I've been in this game. 25 years. His name's Paul Dees. He's been on BET and all kinds of shit. But he was like, "Trust me, you a star, man." He's like, "I've been in 25 years. Start working out." And I was like, "What? Again? Like, what are you saying? Like, why? What does it have to do with being funny?" He's like, "Trust me, just do it." And I did. I started working out a lot more. And then I realized it's the discipline that he's talking about. It's the
Mm.
ability to push yourself. It's that accountability. And so it transfers over from the gym or from working out, however you do, into my notebook. Or if you're creating that business, whatever it is, it transfers over. And I want to push myself in the gym. Now I want to push my writing capabilities, or now I want to push how many different styles I can have of, of telling jokes or whatever it is. And it keeps me, it just really changed things up, and it may give me a lot of clarity.
Wow. Wow. No, I love that. Just talking about once again that pouring into yourself, that discipline, that mastery of your mind and mastery of your skills. Um, so what we're going to jump into, Frankie, is one of my favorite segments, which is the each one teach one section, where we're going to get into some rapid fire questions. So I'm going to ask you a question. You just let me know what comes to mind as and what resonates with you at this time. So let's jump into the first one, brother.
Perfect.
The book. The what book has changed your life?
Hmm. I like The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. There's a few, so that's a tough one, but this is the first one that came to mind. Um, and it's essentially about, it could be virality, it could be a pandemic like we're in. It basically talks about the tipping point of where that pandemic, that virality, that trend, where and how that happens, and the process of how it happens. And it happens with three different types of people who have been studied. And, one is a connector. So this would be, let's say, they did a group study at a college that I don't remember specifically, but they basically sat and they had people write down their network of people who they knew, how they knew them, what type of relationship it was. And basically a connector is somebody who, let's say if I wrote down 50 people who I know really well in my life, and we have good relationships, a connector would write down 150 people or
Mm,
200 people, because they're just really good with names. They're really good with remembering. John has a family. He has 3 kids, and they do this, and he has a business doing this. And they know everything about people because they're fascinated with them, and they enjoy serving other people more than themselves. So they like connecting people and saying, "Oh, you know this guy? You should meet my friend John. He's in real estate too. Maybe you guys can hook up. Maybe you can learn something from each other, or maybe you could just be friends." Um, that's one type of person. And so I kind of took that perspective and it was like, I wonder if I can exercise being a connector, even though I don't think that I am one personally. Um, so I started connecting people, like my friend Ismail, for example, 100% entrepreneurial guy. He said he wanted to get into real estate. So I called my friend Darian Broadnax, who's in real estate, who is just absolutely destroying. Like he basically told me, like, "Yo, I made what I made last year because I've been working at this and I understand how to help people, not monetarily, but like this is the best situation I'm going to put you in for you and your family and your budget. This is what
mm,
makes sense. Like I'm not going to bullshit you. This is what you need." And so he separates himself, and that just makes him a whole nother level. So there's a connector, and then there's the can't even remember the names of it right now, but um, the other one is basically somebody who's ultra meticulous, super detail oriented. That could
mm,
be like, "Yo, Justin, you got to check out this Mediterranean restaurant in Atlanta because they have this there, and the menu is this, and the restaurant was made in this, this, this. The manager is this. The owner has a story about this." So they're just that person that's obsessed with details.
mhm.
Um, and then the other one is, so it's, fuck, what is the other one? Connector. Shit, I forget what the other one
That's
is.
okay, bro.
But
You gave them enough gems that they got had to get out and get the book now. So
but yeah, basically
yeah.
talking about how these 3 types of people, once they get information, the
Mhm,
detail oriented person tells people exactly what's going on with this trend. For example, like the sneaker that blows up like Vans.
Mhm.
Um, or the Hush Puppies was an example in the book where they blew up. They were just a shoe that cost like $8 or whatever, and then the hipsters started wearing them because it can make you look rich for hella cheap. And
Mm.
so the person with the detail oriented thing would tell that to a connector, and then the connectors would spread it like wildfire. And then the third person, which I can't even remember, I always remember this, but I forgot right now. But anyways, these three types of people will make something explode and make it go super viral. And they used examples about the crime in New York in the 90s. They used it with the Hush Puppies and how they blew up. And just there's a million
Connectors,
examples.
Maven is it the Mavens or the salesman?
Mavens, yes, and the salesman. God damn it, the salesman.
Thank
Yeah,
Google on
huh?
that. Thank Google on that.
Yeah, thank God. The salesmen are the people who can sell you anything because we've all just seen people where you're like, "Are you in sales?" And they're like, "Yeah." And you're like, I can smell it. Like you can smell cops. Like you just have this, like cops have this evil energy and lesbian haircut. But like the people in sales, you could just see it. They have this convincing thing about them. You want to be their friend or you want to buy something from them or they're just a great conversationalist. They have this some type of energy that you're attracted to, and they have this cadence that draws you in. And I think that's what I am personally because of the lovability. Like there'll be nights in comedy where there'll be 30 comedians at an open mic, and there's like the bar is just loud as hell. They don't give a shit about anybody's dreams. Like you're not gonna make me laugh, so they're just rowdy. And then I get on stage, and I don't even start saying jokes yet. I just get on the stage, and then everybody shuts up and they turn and they listen, and I'm like, I didn't even say anything yet. Like, why are you guys listening to me? You didn't give a shit about anybody. And so I think that I'm a salesman, and basically, because I get, like I said, I just get a lot of shit. People love me, and I don't take it for granted anymore at all. But I recognize that it's a privilege, and so the salesman, the maven, and the connector together and work together, and that's basically what happens when you have these three types of people. So if you have these three types of people in your life, then you can get to where you want to go a lot easier because you have to recognize your strengths and weaknesses. Because you can't do it by yourself. There's nobody that's done it by themselves. Nobody, not Jordan, not Kobe, nobody, not Gary Vee, nobody. So I kind of realized like, okay, well, who's in my network and what are they? Oh, this dude's a connector. Oh, that makes sense. And so if you make sure that you have those three types of people in your life on this journey, if you don't have nobody, just make sure you get one of each of those and you'll be straight on the way.
Love it, love it. Yeah, like you said, it's an interdependent world that we live in
For
here.
sure.
So, for my next one, Frankie, is what's one skill not taught in school that you believe should be taught?
Oh my God. Working on the strengths again. Because a lot of kids, like for me in particular, like I had ADD, so I had a hard time paying attention, especially and a comedian. So like if shit was boring in school, which most of it is, it was
Mhm,
really tough to pay attention. But when they had my algebra one teacher in like I think it was eighth grade or whatever, um, she was hella animated. Like she was like, "You're gonna go a negative b minus a negative y," and she
mhm,
would explain it all charismatic. And I was like, "This is so entertaining watching this lady." And she had like this crazy ass like electric blonde hair, like Guy Fieri looking ass, but she was a sweetheart, and she was really putting her all in that teaching, and it was
mhm.
entertaining. So before that, math was hard, and then once I saw her, I was able to retain that information easy because it was so entertaining. So she'd be like, "Can anybody tell me what the answer is?" And I'd
Mhm.
raise my hand, and she'd be like, "Frankie," and I'd be like, "Negative b," and blah, blah, and I would just repeat everything she said and come up with the answer. She'd be like, she would laugh and the class would laugh, but I would get it. And she's like, "You're absolutely right." And I ended up being a tutor because of it.
Wow.
But that's because she realized, like, oh, you need to be like, I need to be energetic, you know?
Mhm.
So, like, if you look into these students individually, it's tough in public school when you have 20, 30 kids. But if we had, which we do, we have the tools out there. It's just a matter of reassembling and finding out different strategies of how can we really take a deeper dive into these kids and understand who they are and how they operate and what their strengths are, because if we can find out what that is now, they could be crushing it at life 3 years after high school instead of lost like I was they could be having their own business doing exactly what they love, making cupcakes or vlogging or giving reviews or whatever it is. We all have some dope thing that we're just nice at. People are making money juggling, doing magic tricks, whatever it is, finding out what it is they're great at, how they learn. And if we had that in school, basically what I'm saying is how kids learn. So, like a class where you learn how to learn. Like, what
Mhm.
is your best, most effective way to retain information and to use it? Because we're given all this information that is only within the realm of what the government grants us. As I
Mhm.
mentioned a year ago, basically, public schools are only given curriculum that the government allows them to have. As I spoke to this principal, she said that because I said, "What do you think about education reform?" And she's like, "Yeah, well, I'm all about it, and they're experimenting it with other countries. But the reason why we can't really go outside of all of this old school shit of the desks and only this curriculum is because we're only allowed to do so much with what we have with what the government grants us." So I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." So I would say if I could pick one out of the many that I could think of,
Yeah.
it would definitely be the most effective way of learning.
Word, word. So, last but not least, question for you for the rapid fire section. I know we've gone beyond rapid fire, man. We getting you dropping knowledge on us, Frankie.
I'm trying,
So
man.
here's the one that I love to ask because this is kind of what got me even on this whole path. If you had all the resources on the planet, time, money, people power, what would be your passion project? What would you bring to life in this world?
Oh man. I mean, I would definitely just continue to smash the gas on comedy, but as far as the goal is already to leave a legacy. I would like to have businesses opened up primarily for people of color and giving other people opportunities, whether it be if I ever have kids someday or my nieces and nephews, a comedy club, a school that teaches you things like that you need for life. You know, it could be like an extracurricular school that you can go to that's actually cool, and you have people um, that are cussing and they're like, look, this is the real shit that you're going to learn in life. You should know about cussing. You should know when somebody's talking shit about you. You should know racial slurs. You should know about corrupt stuff. You should know, you know, that if you're black or brown, like you're actually really dope and not what society, what white America tells you. Like, you shouldn't be missing these lessons. So, like, you know, it could be something on that would be really cool, actually. That I'm gonna make that a goal right this second now. But yeah, like a comedy club or maybe like a studio for the
Mhm.
community or a boys and girls club type thing because I was involved in that. Something that can plant seeds for the youth and kind of keep them focused because a lot of the parents will try to put their kids in sports just to keep them busy to not have
Mhm.
their mind wander because that's how people end up in jail or gangs or whatever. But yeah, so I would say along with like leaving, two or three specials before I die, I would like to have like let's say yeah, a comedy club that's, owned by somebody in the family or something a class that teaches you about money or credit or um,
Mhm.
stocks or whatever it is, like
Yeah.
something that is integrating um the tools for what you need to brace yourself for this crazy ass life we live. And that's fun. Fusing those two
Mhm.
worlds together.
I like you not forgetting to leave the fun part. And so
Yeah.
speaking of fun, Frankie, what for you, like what's next for you? And where can people also go to find you, learn more about all the amazing and creative projects and work that you got going on? Because I know you got the YouTube channel and everything else. So what's next and where can people go to find you and connect?
So right now, stand up comedy above everything. So I'm writing right now, like always, doing shows. I just landed a show at a winery in Murrieta where I'm staying. So it's a show at Akash Winery on the 30th of October, right the day before Halloween. So I'll be running shows there. If anybody's in Southern California that's listening, I'll always be releasing TikTok content, Instagram content, YouTube. Um, I'm doing a comedy album. It's just 3 songs, but I do have like It's going to be like full on, like really mixed and mastered by the people at Oaktown Soul, which are a good, family to me. But anyway, so yeah, you can look for a comedy album. You can look for some new sketches every week, pretty much, 3 to 5 a week. And then plus, I release stand up clips. I've gone viral a few times. So those of you guys listening, thank you for listening because you listen to anything. And I got like 12K on TikTok, 10K on Instagram. I was sixth place in SF International. Just so you know, you're not like listening to somebody that hasn't done anything. Like I've done some stuff across the country, and I got some stuff ready to go
Mm-hmm.
the country when things cool down. So again, thank you for listening and thank you for having me. But yeah, Instagram, Frankie M Comedy, Frankie with the IE, Frankie M Comedy for Instagram, TikTok. You can, I got merch, I got my website, gofrankyourself.com, but definitely content every week. You can catch me at live shows when things cool down. I have some now in the Bay Area and in Southern California. You can check all of that information is on my Instagram and TikTok. But yeah,
Excellent. Excellent. And thank you once again, Frankie, for coming in, blessing the Living Once Twice podcast.
very, very happy to do so, man. I appreciate you.
Certainly. And folks out there, I mean, listen to what Frankie is sharing with you from, once again, trust in the process, stepping into and leaning into that fear, understanding the importance of mastering yourself, mastering your mindset, working on yourself. These are the skills, these are the strategies to help you to build that momentum once again to design that dream life that lives inside of you. And making sure that you're listening to that inner voice. As Frankie shared earlier, it was always there. He minded out of himself, and now he's in there and he's going for it and he's chasing it. And that's what we want you to understand. That voice that lives inside of you, you're not crazy. Listen to it, mind it out. Like it is leaning you into the direction of your fulfillment, into designing a life that you're passionate about living. So with that said, that is it for this episode. Frankie shared all the handles and where you can find them. Encourage you to check him out. He's always dropping knowledge of books and other that you can connect with to continue to get more of that for your spirit. So as we end today's episode, reaching out to you all through the time, through the space that separates us, I just want to thank you for your presence and tuning in. And remember, your dream life is waiting for you. Go for it because you deserve it. Catch you later on Living Once Twice.